Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.
My friends and I always tune into the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Todd is entertaining, informative, and always delivers the goods.
Todd might not tell you what you want to hear, but he's going to tell you what you need to hear. And all you got to do is listen.
Hold on, Todd. Don't let go. It's time for the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
Please, please tell me now. Please, please tell me now. Please, please tell me now. Please, please tell me now.
Welcome to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Good morning, good evening, and good night. I'm yours truly, attorney Todd L. Levitt, broadcasting and podcasting in the Black Diamond Group mothership in the middle of the mitten in a beautiful gray nutrient field with my good friend, Craig Russell, the muscle, the hustle, no poem required. We need all the time we can get here on the show. How you doing, Craig?
I am fan-flippin-tastic. How are you, Todd?
I am poemless today, Craig, but nonetheless happy to see your mug behind the glass there on the control box.
You know, you always talk about the green nutrient field, and I'll tell you this much. The rain that we've had the past week I noticed today, I was going to grab some lunch, and it's like, hey, the tree's got little green buds on them. Not the little green buds you're thinking of, but the regular, like, little green buds, you know, of leaves and things. I'm like, things are starting to green up a little bit. The rain, albeit kind of soggy, is good for this time of year.
We need rain in the winter, obviously, in the middle of the mitten. In Michigan, it was short, believe it or not, folks. You're saying, what are you talking about, Todd? It was cold, it was snowing, it was wet. No, in some places, in many places, there is still snow on the ground this time of year, especially in the great state of Superior, and most, if not all, the snow above the bridge has melted.
Which is amazing.
So we need the rain to, you know, fill our lakes and rivers and waterways that we'd love to boat, fish, and just enjoy here in the Great Lakes state.
Plus rain, you know, it cleans everything up. You know, there's the dirt on the roads and the dirt, you know, from the snow and everything, from all the trucks and all the salt. And a couple of good soaking rains takes care of all of that. And
it
gets
does,
everything
Craig,
kind of,
it does.
Gets everything kind of greened up and ready to go.
Are we a weather show now or a law show? What happened?
That's right. Actually, there's a cold pressure system coming into Kansas now.
Well, you've been in radio for 200,000 years, so it wouldn't surprise me. You've done the weather many times.
200,000 years, wow.
We opened up
Todd.
with one of my all-time top 10 groups from the 80s that MTV made famous with their first video, Rio. Who would that be, Craig?
That would be Double D Duran Duran. Those guys.
Duran.
Those guys
Simon
knew.
LeBon.
Yep.
Is that
Yep, Simon
and
LeBon and Andy and John Taylor. Those guys knew how to play the video game. That's why they became very popular in MTV.
Yeah. But he's got a cool, smooth, voice, summertime, hanging out, having a cool drink. That's what Duran Duran reminds me of, just hanging out in the 80s, in the summertime, having a great time.
And that song, Is There Something I Should Know? That's a great song because it's not one, it was a hit for them, but not a big hit. So it isn't like gotten, you always hear Hungry Like the Wolf, or you always hear Rio, or you always hear those songs, but you don't hear that one nearly as much. That's why I like that song a lot.
It's a good one.
It is. It's a good one. Now, of course, we started with that song. And what was the inspiration for Duran Duran today?
Just summertime, springtime, people hanging out. The temps and the mitten have been above average lately, according to our weather show here.
Yeah.
So it's a feel-good song. And, I was tootling down in my truck last week through the middle of the state, and they came on, and I rolled the windows down and let the wind blow through my hair, Craig.
You rolled the windows down and you cranked it up.
I didn't roll them down. I pushed a button and they just came down. But it's better to say, I used to have a 72 Grand Torino with the floorboard all rusted out, and I used to have to roll my windows down like a Fred Flintstone vehicle with my feet dangling out the back, the bottom there. But
dude, I had a 1978 Datsun B210 with the same thing.
I thought you had a Pinto.
Nope, had a Datsun, had a small little
Pinto.
Datsun. No Pinto. Had a Datsun, had a Ford Fairmont, but no Pinto. No, not really a lot of Fords. Not really. I've had a Ranger and that. But anyway, yes.
So should we play the song that originally I literally was going to play this morning?
Yes, we should. That's what I was leading into. Since that's the song we played to lead the show off, what song did you really want to start the show with?
Well, it attaches to drywall or walls or some type of wall, and it has a handle and sometimes a latch. What group would that be, Craig?
That would be the Windows?
The Doors.
Oh, the Doors. Oh.
Crank it, spank it, turn it and burn it. Bonafide certified. Play it, Craig.
The day destroys the night. Night divides the day. Try to run, try to hide. Break on through to the other side. Break on through to the other side. Break on through to the other side, yeah.
Break on through to the other side.
Break on through. I love the words. The day destroys the night. I can't sing. Night divides the day. I tried to run. I tried to hide. Break on through to the other side. I just want to get on stage and scream and take a guitar and just destroy it. I mean, I think there should be a bucket list for all of us hardcore rockers out there to have an opportunity to do that.
420 Can of Hemp Expo. We're going to be in the concert hall at the Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. You could get up on the stage itself and do that. That wouldn't scare anybody.
But the last part of the song where he says, "I found an island in your arms, country in your eyes, arms that chain us, eyes that lie, break on through to the other side."
I always think that
we've lost all listeners. Norm and Mike are no longer going to allow us to do the show.
I always thought that should have been the theme song for the Mr. Kool-Aid Man breaking through the wall. Hey, Kool-Aid Man! Oh yeah, break on through to the other side. So we could have a bigger discussion about all the. You've heard the stories of all the musicians who we've lost who are in their late 20s. From Janis Joplin and Jimi Hendrix and and Jim Morrison, and then Kurt Cobain was last week was the anniversary of Kurt
Lane
Cobain.
Staley.
Yeah, Lane Staley. All these great artists. Think how much music would be different if all of those artists were still around making music. I wonder what they would be doing. Would they be still
Morrison?
Would they be
Hendrix?
trendsetters? Would they all be trendsetters, or would they
Elvis?
Think about it. Even Elvis or anybody like that, or Johnny Cash, or anybody who was still around.
Hank Williams.
Would they be still making?
I like country.
I know you do. I found that out about you. Would they be making great music, or would they just be? I always think of Phil Collins as a great example of that. Phil Collins did a lot of good stuff in the '80s, and then by the time you get to about 2000, he didn't make any more new music. He just kind of rested on his laurels, and he's not doing really anything new. You wonder if those guys would all be like that, or would they still be, trendsetters in music? That's just what I think about.
We will never know.
We will never know, unfortunately. But we will have a show.
Great segue, though.
What do we know about the show?
Well, the show, we've got a big show. We are going to get back to answer some listener emails.
Oh, good. That's always fun.
We've got the strain of the show.
Sure.
Just a lot of questions from a lot of listeners. Some of it's redundant. Others, I find it interesting. We've got a lot to talk about here on the Law Show.
So in other words, this is kind of an email-driven show. Would we say that?
You could.
Okay, all right. So it's an email show. We don't.
Here's a question for you.
We do these about 3 times a year, where most of the show is just answering emails. What's the question?
The question is, we often talk about how this is also a podcast and it's
Sure.
downloaded all over the world.
Right.
Take a guess as to what the top countries are that downloaded this show last week around the world.
I would guess the United States for sure.
Yep, the great United States of America, number 1. Of
Probably.
course.
I would say Canada's 2, maybe.
No.
Really? Not Canada.
No, Canada is number 3 this week.
Okay, Canada's 3rd. So there's a country but more than Canada, but less than the United States.
Brazil.
Brazil. What is up with that?
Brazil, Australia, Spain, Germany, and Portugal.
Wow. What are the
Yeah.
what are the cannabis laws in Brazil? Do you have any idea?
I do. Well, I mean, I do not.
Oh, okay.
Want me to look them up?
No, not necessarily. I just wondered
Thanks
if
for
you,
putting this lawyer on the spot there,
I
Craig.
just wondered if you knew him off the
You
top
can
of your
tell
head.
this show is live, folks, because I did not look it up and then talk about it on the show.
Or we didn't have that planned out that I was going to ask you.
We
that.
did
But, you
not.
know,
but
that
the
happens
strain of the
sometimes.
but I'm sure they're smoking a lot of Blue Dream down in Brazil, and that's the strain
Okay.
of the week.
Blue
Dream, Craig.
Blue Dream. What should we know about Blue Dream? Should we know
Blue
anything?
Dream is somewhat of a lower THC driven, 18% THC, and a cross between blueberry, which you love, and haze.
Oh.
So that's the strain of the week, Blue Dream, baby.
Blue Dream. So maybe we should have played Jimi
Listen
Hendrix.
to some Break On Through with some Blue Dreams.
I was just, maybe we should have played Jimi Hendrix, done a little Purple Haze.
You want to hear something? Speaking of cannabis, what happened to me this week?
Sure.
So you recall the banner that says the Todd L. Levitt Marijuana Law Podcast? That's
Yes.
the size of a garage door
Yes.
with a big marijuana leaf with a microphone in the middle.
I remember it well.
Our logo of the show on podcast.
Yes.
So it's in my office, and I was Zooming with a court this week with one of my clients. We're sitting there at my desk. You know what's coming. I'm
Yep.
paying no attention. And the courtroom is open. There's the clerk, the court officer, the prosecutor, and my client, and I think another individual on the Zoom. And everybody's going, Todd, and I'm thinking, what? I can hear you. My volume works perfect. What? Because you got to, test these devices out, right? You know what's coming, right?
I know exactly what's coming.
I sent you the picture, didn't I? Mm-hmm. I mean,
You did.
What was that, Craig?
That was a picture of you, wearing your mask, wearing your suit, all looking like a BA, and then there's the big banner behind you. You obviously must have forgot that that's where you had the camera pointing on your laptop, and so you were probably getting ready to get into court, and somebody was probably pointing out, hey, you shouldn't probably have that when you're, defending somebody in court.
That marijuana leaf behind me on the poster literally is the size of 3 basketballs. I mean, it's a big poster that you and I utilized for the expo.
Yep.
So I didn't go live, and as soon as the judge appeared in court, I'm not going to mention the judge or the jurisdiction or the county, Isabella, but I quickly turned the camera as to point away from it. So
That's probably a
that
good
may
idea.
have been a viral moment there around the world.
That's probably a good idea. That's something, that goes right along with the guy you had come into court wearing a Budweiser shirt.
But I won't
always
mention
remember
the court, Isabella County.
No.
I'm not going to mention that jurisdiction
I
to the
totally,
listeners there.
totally understand that.
Nah,
but
for sure.
Hey, we got to take a break on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. When we come back, email show. We will answer your emails from around the globe. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Please, please tell me now. Please, please tell me now. Please, please tell me now. Please, please tell me now.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show, broadcasting and podcasting. Not in open court with a cannabis leaf behind my noggin, but I am in studio in the Black Diamond Group mothership. That's right, Craig, with my good friend Craig Russell, the muscle, the hustle. How you doing, Craig?
I'm laughing. I'm not trying to laugh at you, but that is pretty funny. Not gonna lie.
I took a picture of it and sent it to Big Daddy Danny Bain.
Yeah.
And said, hey, what if an attorney appeared in your courtroom with that banner behind his or her head? What would you do? So
what did he say?
I'm not going to mention the conversation we had, but that was a question.
I got you. So speaking of conversations and speaking of questions, it's one of our famous email shows, Todd Levitt Law Show at gmail.com. Todd Levitt Law Show at gmail.com if you want to ask the show questions. You know, we get emails from time to time from listeners all over the world and all over mid-Michigan. And we usually take 2 or 3 shows a year, and we'll just nail some emails and answer some questions that people have been building up. Like you said, sometimes they're kind of repetitive. Sometimes they're things we've already talked about, and sometimes they're new things. So what's the first email we have, Todd?
The first email comes from the great state of Michigan in the great state of Superior, God's country, from Calumet up in the Upper Peninsula, folks, all the way to the northwest part of the Upper Peninsula, state of Michigan, from Wendy. And her question here is, Todd, you and Craig always talk about, this is literally a real email. You and Craig always talk about the strain of the week. I love your show and the Craig poems at the start. There you go. I do not smoke weed. What are some of the strains for beginners? And that's from Wendy. That's a great question.
It is.
So
don't look at me. You answer that. Don't look at me. You answer that.
First and foremost, we're a law show. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physician. I'm not even a bud tender. And, you know, I'm not going to give out advice on whether or not someone should start, you know, participating in something they have a legal right to do so or not. But I would say, under the law, if you live in a recreational state and you are of legal age, then you have an absolute right to do whatever is legal, without...
Sure.
As long as it doesn't harm anybody, including yourself, and then you're crossing the line, and there could be some laws out there that provide restrictions. But my advice is, if you've never smoked before, you need to be extremely careful, because depending upon what you could smoke or consume, ingest as an edible or whatnot, candies and gummies and whatnot, you could find yourself with a ton of anxiety, and you could become extremely paranoid. So I highly recommend, and again, I'm not recommending anybody do this, but you definitely want to find a low THC, high CBD cannabis strain, you see. I mean, unlike, THC, Wendy, CBD, which we've talked about ad nauseum on our show because we love CBD, is more of a non-intoxicating cannabinoid with, those relaxant properties, and CBD can help, counteract anxiety associated with some of those higher THC strains. So I think it's a great way to start off. It's a perfect starting point for new consumers out there in recreational states. And you definitely want to look for, very low THC, maybe something hybrid with a high CBD cannabis strain out there. And there's some great products and varieties at the dispensaries. And just make sure you are educated. Talk to anybody talk to people out there who have participated in legal cannabis, a bud tender, some of the great dispensaries, Consano in Mount Pleasant, Jars. I mean, they're all over the state of Michigan, all over the country now. We've talked about it week in and week out, but that's my advice, Craig, right there. Start off with more of a high CBD cannabis strain, low THC. Blue Dream, for instance, is one of those strains.
Yeah, and you hit the nail right on the head. If you're like thinking about it and you're in a state like Michigan where it's recreational, it's legal, stop into a dispensary and talk to a bud tender. And they would be more than happy to help you find exactly what is right for you.
Sour, we talked about a few of the strains in the past. AC/DC. It's not just a great music group. It's it's a very low level beginner strain, some would say. Blue Dream. Blue Dream is great, sweet taste of mixed berries. Are you enjoying that, Craig, by the way?
Sure. Okay.
But, Sour Tsunami, very high CBD dominant strain. There's only trace levels of THC. It won't get you high. And it's, it helps stress, anxiety, tension. But again, don't rely upon anything we are saying.
No.
I'm just giving you information and answering a question and trying to provide education. But again, please do not rely on anything I'm saying. So then people are saying, well, why the heck should we listen to your show, Todd? I'm just answering a question. It was asked and I answered.
Just giving your opinion. Much like the
That's
same
it,
thing.
just my opinion.
Yes, much like the same thing. If you you needed a certain kind of a rake for your yard, you'd go to a hardware store and you'd say, hello,
No,
Mr.
I can
Hardware
give
Store.
out excellent rake advice, Craig. No,
Okay.
people need a rake. Email us right here on the Law Show, and I'll give you advice on how to rake your lawn. Come on, Craig.
Todd Levitt Law Show at gmail.com.
That's about the
Subject line, rake.
only skill I have is how to rake a lawn, and I don't even do that right.
But the thing is, if you need a specific rake, you go to a hardware store and you say, Mr. Hardware Store man or lady, I need help finding a rake. And they'll be more than happy to ask you what you need your rake for, etc. It's the same thing if you go to a dispensary with a bud tender. They're going to say, what are you looking to accomplish? What do you want to do? First time? Okay, here's some stuff to try out and stuff. I mean, they're more than happy to help you. So that's exactly correct. What's the next email, Todd?
The next question is from Spain. Yeah.
Wow, Spain. Is it in Spanish?
It is not in Spanish, believe it or not.
Oh,
But Spain's
good.
a great country, very
Yes.
historic. You need, if you like pirates and pirate movies and shows, you need to read up on the conflict between France, we love France, the United Kingdom, England, Great Britain, all the countries associated, and Spain in the Caribbean and Nassau. I love pirate movies. So those were three big players, that were involved in all kinds of commerce, good and bad.
True.
Pirate
True.
trade.
Yep.
Pirates.
And remember, I a lot of people question whether it really happened the way it did, but Christopher Columbus, somebody came from Spain to this country and I don't want to say discovered it, but certainly found plenty of stuff going on here. And so it might not have happened the way it did had it not happened that way. And that was all because of Spain.
Spain's a great country, beautiful country, though.
So the email is from Spain.
I like to get to all three of those countries someday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Bucket list to go to that part of Europe.
Bucket list. Ernest Hemingway spent a lot of time over there in
Yeah.
France and Spain. I just got done watching a special on Ernest Hemingway.
I was going to say, did you do that Ken Burns special on PBS?
Yeah, that was a great special.
That's very
Yeah.
interesting. And, he also spent some time in Michigan, too, up by Petoskey, Crooked Lake area.
Yeah, actually, Walloon Lake. is
Walloon
where
Lake,
his
yep.
family. Yeah.
Yep.
John Devine, great attorney, friend of mine. His family has a house nearby, and his family knew the Hemingways. That's pretty
Oh, wow.
cool.
Wow. And who else would know all about that?
Who?
Who's our resident Michigan historian?
Steve Lato.
Steve Lato would probably be able to spend a whole hour
Everything
talking
about Hemingway. The only thing, the first I ever heard of Hemingway was Mariel Hemingway, his granddaughter.
Oh, Mariel
Remember her
Hemingway.
in the
Okay,
80s?
yep,
Yeah.
I remember. Yep. She was in.
Yeah.
one
But
of
we should
those-
answer the question from Spain.
Yeah, we probably should. Okay, let's get to it. What's the question?
Okay, this one everybody we've talked about. I think we mentioned this last week. What is the number of legal states? This is an old email versus medicinal in the U.S. And thank you again from Spain. And people have been smoking cannabis sativa for thousands of years,
Right.
For recreational medicinal. Currently, 17 states reckon 37 medicinal, folks, from
Wow.
our good friends in Spain.
And it just keeps growing because of New York and Virginia, and where's some of the other places that New Mexico was, I think, one of the last ones. we
Yeah,
talked
New
about.
Mexico's coming aboard.
And there's
Absolutely.
going to be more. There's going to
There's
be
gonna
more.
be more.
So
Here's one for you, Craig.
okay, I was going to say we probably have time for one more of this segment. What's the question? Philippe?
In France.
Okay.
We got a lot of listeners in France. So,
Wow.
folks, I'm not making this up. What is a terpen? There you go.
Turpin. Like turpentine?
No, not even close. Are you
I don't
kidding
know
me?
what a turpin is then. I'm not sure.
Terpenes, and I that's how I pronounce it, are weeds scent compound, given the plant its complex aromas, Craig. So there are hundreds of them
okay.
found in trace amounts in the plant, and there's typically 8 main ones, but that's where you get the scent, the scent compound.
Okay.
So cannabinoids and terpenes, it depends on how you pronounce it, are the main compounds in the cannabis plant
Oh.
that get you high or provide those medicinal benefits. And the two main cannabinoids are, as we talk about week in and week out, THC and CBD. THC obviously gets you high, whereas CBD, folks, is the non-intoxicating one. And people consume both cannabinoids for multiple benefits. But again, be sure to talk to your bud tender and whatnot. But they give the plant the complex aromas, and there's hundreds of them, and they're found in the trace amounts in the plant. So that's my interpretation. I don't even say that properly, but that's how I interpret that.
See, you learn something new every day. Look at that. Look at
We
us
got some
learn.
other areas of law to talk about other than cannabis here when we come back, though, from break, Craig.
Okay, yeah, when we come back, and we'll also discuss you crying over Gonzaga losing in the NCAA tournament game. The championship.
Come on, Craig.
I know, but I saw that. And I'm like, oh, but you saw the game that they won on Saturday to get to the championship. That was a classic. Crazy. I thought of you when I was watching. I'm like going, oh, I bet.
All I got to say,
going
Craig,
nuts.
is break on through to the other side.
Break on through. Or please tell me now. Something like
Yeah,
that.
both.
Anyway,
Please tell me now if you broke on through to the other side.
I have not broken on through to the other side. But
Yes, you have.
No, I have not.
Yes, you have.
I'm right here. The
Craig,
glass is
think
between
positive.
us.
The glass is half full.
Oh.
Okay. You are there.
I think you've had what is it, Blue Dream? Is that what our scent of the week, or not scent of the week? Our strain of the
No,
week is?
I'm drinking purple Pedialyte right now. It's a new
okay, I
strain.
gotcha.
Coming out soon. Purple Pedialyte.
Pedialyte.
It's very relaxing and it's hydrating at the same time.
Oh, my God. We're going to take a break on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. We'll be right back.
Please, please tell me now. 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 I made a break, I run out yesterday. Tried to find my mountain hideaway. Maybe next year, maybe no go. I know you're watching me every minute of the day, yeah. I see the signs and the looks and the pictures they give you gave away, yeah. There's a dream that strings the road with broken glass for us to hold. And I got so far before I had to say, please, please tell me now. Is there something I should know? Is there something I should say that'll make you come my way? Do you feel the same? 'Cause you don't let it show.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Just destroying it with Duran Duran, Craig.
Double D, Duran Duran, my favorite two.
Duran Duran.
You know where they got the name from that band from?
Duran Duran.
Do you know where that Duran Duran name
Yeah, it's a
came from?
town in Scotland.
No, it's from a movie that Jane Fonda was in the late 60s. It was I think it was the
Okay.
villain in the movie.
Couldn't you just placate me and
it's from a town in
who would
Scotland.
know the difference? Who would
It's
know
fr-
the difference?
It's from a town in Scotland, Todd.
I got a lot of friends from Scotland.
Aren't you from? No, you're Irish. You're not Scottish.
3% Irish.
That's right, and 97% Detroit. So
There you go,
or
D-Town,
Italian,
you got
whatever,
it.
Whatever it is.
American, baby.
It is our email show, toddlevittlawshow@gmail.com. We do this about 3 times a year where we take a show and we answer some emails, either current emails or stuff that we've been sitting on for a while. And you said we have some other emails to get to. But first, before we do that, I'm assuming, because I know you well enough, I think I know you well enough, you have a complaint about something, do you not?
Yeah, my complaint is to a good friend of mine who will remain unnamed, who lives in the mid to northern Michigan area. Last week I was driving through the great town of Mount Pleasant, Michigan, and I was in my truck and this individual was in his truck. I was not even paying attention, and at the last moment, he passed me. I passed him on one of the side streets, stop signs. We're not on any highway or major roadway. We're on some of the back roads going 25 miles an hour or less. And he waves as he passes me. I didn't see him. And so as he passed me, I didn't honk because I kept my hands on the wheel, although I did throw my arm out the window and shoulder, and apparently he never saw it. So I got called out on that. Next time I came to a stop sign via text, I wasn't texting and driving, nor was he. He had stopped and said, "Todd, come on, you can't wave back at me." It's one of my good buddies who's giving me some crap. It was all love and fun. but I actually, I was about to throw half my body out the window. So my complaint is, Craig, to everyone out there who knows each other in this very small world of ours, if you're driving down a roadway and paying attention as you should be, and a friend of yours drives by, and by chance you don't happen to see them, but they see you and they wave at you and you don't wave back, you should not have, you get a pass on that one, Craig. Don't you agree? You get a pass. So you should never be criticized or, torn apart for not, acknowledging somebody pass you in a vehicle. That's all I want to say. It's not much of a complaint as it is an observation and a statement, because what am I supposed to do? Stop in the middle of the roadway and fling half my body out the window so you see that I see you? Not happening. So there you go.
Well, see, I thought maybe when you flung your arm out the window, maybe, a certain finger or two happened to, stay straight up at the same time, and maybe that's what the problem was. But yeah, that isn't much of a complaint. I'm not going to lie to you.
No, but do you agree? I mean, I get it. Sometimes I'll see somebody and I'll wave and they won't see you, but, you see them. It's just one of those things in time like, that was so-and-so, When I turn corners and streets, I'm not paying attention who exactly is driving the vehicle. I'm more in tune to the vehicle itself, making sure that, I'm being a defensive driver. And if that car's not, then I need to get out of the way.
Yeah, that's exactly me. I usually don't pay that close of attention. So I'll, somebody will tell me later on, hey, I saw you yesterday. And I'm like, really? Okay. Saw your car and I waved to you and you didn't do anything. It's like, because I don't like you. No, that isn't it at all. I don't pay attention a lot of times to that kind of stuff. I'll pay attention to other things, but when I'm driving, I'm paying attention on driving. And if somebody passes me and waves, I probably wouldn't ever see it. So I totally get your complaint, albeit not much of a complaint.
Yeah, thanks, Craig.
That's what I'm here for. It's our email show, Todd. Do we have another email? And I know you said we had emails.
I do. We've got an
other than
email
cannabis.
from Bob. There's a common name. Do you call him Robert, Bob, Bobby, Robbie from Bob or
Roberto?
Roberto.
Okay.
The question is, do you and Craig ever spend time together outside of the studio? Here's a good question.
Yes, we do. Unfortunately, not nearly as much as we would like to, but you're a busy guy. I'm a busy guy. We've got lots of other things that we do. We both have full-time jobs compared to this, got families and lives and stuff like that, but we do get a chance to hang out every once in a while.
We will be together at the 420 Can of Hemp Expo.
Yes, we will.
Possibly.
2 days of the 420 Can of Hemp Expo in Mount Pleasant, Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. It's June 5th and 6th, the first weekend in June. Get your tickets, get your events, everything ready for it. 420canaexpo.com. It's in the Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, Mount Pleasant, the largest casino east of the Mississippi in this country. And not only is it clean and sanitized, and they've been making things safe, not only that, do you know they've got concerts scheduled for this summer at Soaring Eagle?
Oh, yeah. Soaring Eagle has the whole property is just beautiful. And then we have the Saguenay Casino over there in Standish.
Yep, they do. 2 great casinos, plus the Slot Palace, plus the water park there in Mount Pleasant. A fantastic
restaurants. Great amenities.
Everything.
They just redid all the rooms. It's just a beautiful place.
Yep. They are very gracious in hosting us. It's a beautiful facility. This is our second one of these. We tried to do it last year, but of course, the pandemic had other designs. But so that'll be a time we'll be hanging out. There's the night before, the Friday night of the event. There's going to be the it's a sponsor party and everything, and then Saturday's the actual big event that everybody's invited to. And
here's another email.
Okay.
This one comes from Ohio, which, by the way, is always one of the most downloaded states in our country on the show. After Michigan, Ohio comes in second this week. Florida, Texas, Jersey. Thank you, Jersey. Everybody in Jersey, we love you. New York, Georgia, Cali, Wisconsin, Virginia, and then North Carolina top out the top states downloading this portion of the podcast. The question is, and this is from no name, just longtime listeners, and I'm not going to mention their email, so thank you for that.
Okay.
What's the truth behind tearing off a tag off a mattress? Is that a crime, Todd? I don't know if the people out there have ever heard that, but for decades, you're not supposed to. Oh, it's a crime. You can't, rip the tag off your mattress. Well, can I answer that, Craig?
Please dispel this rumor.
First off, who the heck is in your bedroom or your room or whichever room you have a mattress in the first place, whereby you rip that tag off. I mean, where are the tag police? How is that going to be enforced in the first place? So, often you see a tag on a mattress and it's providing information, but I personally don't know of any Michigan statute, maybe I'm wrong, that specifically addresses and makes it a crime or a misdemeanor to rip a tag off a mattress. So, if you live in a state or a country, and there's no laws that exist out there, just rip that tag away. That's what I have to say. I know nothing ever about any type of law like that. So.
I think, and correct me, I might be wrong, and I'm sure if I am, toddlevittlawshow@gmail.com. Someone will let us know. But I think it
What's
says
that email again, Craig?
toddlevittlawshow@gmail.com. I think it says on the tag that you can't remove this under penalty of federal law. Somebody else can't remove it. You can remove it. But like the person selling
Craig,
it can't
come
remove it.
on. Hey, here, don't put hot water in your microwave. It's a crime. Who's gonna enforce that? Come on, Craig.
No, I think it's the people selling the mattresses can't remove that tag. You personally, you own it. Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's like purchasing a bicycle. In most states around this great country of ours, and we love this country, a bike is sold with reflectors. Now, those of us who happen to shred the gnar, we immediately, upon purchase, take those reflectors off.
Sure.
Okay. No, Craig, I do not ride a bike, a Salsa Spearfish carbon fiber with a kickstand or little reflectors. Although, folks, I'm here to tell you, I do have all kinds of, lighting systems that illuminate at a very high level once the sun goes down. So and I do wear yellow and orange. That's another complaint. For all of those out there who are outdoor exercising, walking, hiking, if you're out and about, go purchase some hunter orange or some bright yellow or some construction yellow. Why are you out at night, and I've seen this all too often, in dark clothes walking along the side of the road where you're likely to get hit and even worse happen. So that's my advice to people out there.
For starters, it's when you're walking on a dark road and there's no lights around. It's one thing if you're walking under street lights and you're in a city setting, but if you're anywhere not near that, you're just asking for trouble because somebody's not going to see you. Wear something bright. Wear
something bright.
Yeah,
but again, the tag on the mattress. I know nothing of that law that exists. Here's another one, Craig.
Okay.
Since we're talking about this.
All right.
A lawyer cannot get you out of jail. Okay. And I've heard this for years. Hey, Todd, can I call you if I get arrested? No. If you get arrested, call a bondsman. Like my buddy Dan from Ion Cuff in Mount Pleasant. He does a great job there. Yeah. Call a bondsman because a lawyer can't do anything because first and foremost, the prosecutor or the city attorney is going to take a look at the facts of the case and decide what type of charges to put forth and what type of warrants will be sworn to and issued. A bond, you are entitled to bond, so bond will be set, but you could be held for a certain amount of time before bond is set, and then before you're allowed to bond out. But yeah, don't hire a lawyer, hire a bondsman to get yourself out. So don't use the money to hire a lawyer.
Yeah.
Like I said, call Dan at Ion Cuff. Hire a bondsman.
That's like saying, hey, I got a problem with my car. I'm going to call General Motors, the president of General Motors, and see if he can fix it. No.
Because a lawyer can't do anything. First off, more often than not, it's in the middle of the night. The jail's closed. They're not going to let an attorney in. I mean,
I'm an attorney. Take care of my situation. They're going to laugh.
My best advice is in regards to lawyering, you have a right to remain silent. You have a constitutional right to remain silent. You can use it. You should use it. And you do have a right to lawyer up. I always see on these TV shows, and, obviously I have a lot of friends in law enforcement. We support law enforcement. I have a lot of friends who are detectives and troopers and whatnot. But you always see on TV shows how people are in these rooms being interviewed and interrogated. And I just scratch my head and think, God, don't these people know, to lawyer up? But again, it's the movies, it's TV. But even in these real life shows, you still people chirping away like birds. I mean, lawyer up, pipe up. It's not your job to do. Look, I'm not saying go out there and commit a crime and break the law.
No.
What I'm saying is I'm just making a reference to what I see on TV as a lawyer when I sit there and watch these shows, and I'm thinking, wow, you have a right to remain silent. Use it.
Well, you know, a lot of times TV shows and movies are just that. They're not real life. They're TV shows and movies.
But even in real life, people just chirp away. They just talk.
Because people watch those TV shows and movies and think that's what they're supposed to do. Or they just like to talk. You know, there's some people who just like to flap their gums. You know who I'm talking about.
Look, it's not your job to do their job for them.
Right.
I mean, look,
You certainly make it easier.
You may have made a poor choice and made a mistake. But again, it's the people, you know.
The people arresting
half of
you.
the state of Michigan
Yeah.
who have to prove it. You don't have to go out there and throw your arms up and put everything in writing and start talking. That's just my opinion as a defense attorney.
See, now, unlike before when we were talking about the strain of the week and about things like that, you were like, you know, look, don't take my advice. I'm just giving you my opinion. When you're talking about things like law, like this, attorney things, this is where you can give your opinion, and it really means, you know, listen to this. Don't dismiss what Todd says when Todd says things like this, because Todd is an attorney. And that's exactly what he would pay. You'd pay $200 an hour for him to tell you. So take his advice. I'm just telling you. Okay.
I don't know of any law in the state of Michigan whereby you are entitled to a phone call either. That's a shocker to a lot of people.
Really? I didn't.
Yeah. Show me a law where it says if you are placed under arrest, you are entitled to bond, but
Really?
Under certain circumstances, bond will not be set.
Wow.
I'm not going to get into all of those, but we will on another show. But
but the call thing is not a legitimate
No.
deal. You don't get a call. Well, I would now said that. I
no,
always thought
there's
that
no
one.
law that says, hey, guess what? You get arrested and you're placed in the county jail, you are entitled to a phone call. Now, let's just realistic. There's always phones inside, you know, the jail, so people can, you know, make a phone call. Loved ones can put money into accounts. If you have money, you can utilize a phone. You can call people, collect. So the jail does accommodate individuals who are placed under arrest and are, you know, being detained to utilize phones. But as far, you know, I get clients saying to me all the time, I was placed in a cell. I wasn't allowed to make a phone call. And eventually they let me out after 12 hours, and I was able to make a phone call. And I would ask them, were you intoxicated when you were brought to the facility? Well, yes. And how high was your intoxication? What was your blood level at potentially? So, you know, often individuals do enter into the, facility a lot different than when they leave as far as what level of intoxication and substances that they may have utilized until they, you know, reach a state of mind where they can start to use the phones and cooperate with those who are running the jail and so on and so forth. So,
Man, I feel like TV and movies have cheated me. I thought for sure you always got a phone call.
well, no, you do. I mean, there's phones in every jail that I'm familiar with, but I don't know of any law on the book that says, you know, statute, you know, MCL, you know, connotated, annotated, this or that, whereby, you know, this and that. Now, there's probably case law out there, and I can look it up in regards to, you know, individuals suing for the right to utilize, you know, telecommunications with those on the outside. I can look those up when Mr. Mike Nichols comes back on the show and we can talk about it.
Yeah.
And I could be completely wrong. I've never really, you know, entered a query and looked this up online. It's just something that I always felt I was right about, which I don't feel I'm right about anything unless I first read it and I'm reading something that is truthful and accurate. But from my understanding as a lawyer in law school, and since I've been out since 1992 in Detroit, I never came across any law or case law that said, you know, this is the law, the letter of the law, you are entitled to a phone call.
So in other words, you could have 10 phone calls, really. There's no law. that
You
says
could
only
make
get one.
20
You could make-
again, if you cooperate in a sense. I mean, you know, you're respectful of where you are at because you're not getting out, and you know, you utilize the phone. There's always privileges. You get privileges. Some cells have phones in the cells.
Sure.
A lot of these jails have phones in the cells. Others are outside.
All right, so it's always great when we do our email shows. We get to email questions. You got some other great advice. We've got to take our last break in the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. When we come back, Todd's great advice. Stick around.
Please, please tell me now. Please, please tell me now. Please, please tell me now. Please, please tell me now.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. It's our big email show. We do this about 3 times a year, toddlevittlawshow@gmail.com. We were just talking about before the break about how when you're in jail, there's no guarantee you're going to get a one phone call. There's no law that says you get one phone call. Sometimes you could get more than one phone call if you're respectful and you cooperate, et cetera, et cetera. You've got some big advice about that phone call, do you not, Todd?
Oh, yeah. So somebody's always listening to that phone call, and what you say can and will be used against you. So be very careful. There's a lot of loved ones out there who receive that phone call from their loved ones who happen to be incarcerated in the county jail upon being placed under arrest. And, they're having a conversation back and forth. And, that phone call is being recorded.
Yeah, so be careful.
Somebody's listening.
That phone call is being recorded for training purposes. Yeah.
Everything the sheriff departments did not want me to say and more, folks. That's common knowledge out there. I'm not disclosing anything.
Yeah,
in regards to placing any law enforcement in harm's way. I would never do that. I support and respect and love all our first responders and law enforcement. We're just talking about things that the general public may not know about, and that's about my wheelhouse right there, my itinerary for the show in regards to that, Craig.
Well, yeah, and that's the stuff that you know about. That's the thing that people, this is what you do. You're a lawyer. If you're going to start talking about things like law and lawyering up and stuff.
Here's something widely known.
What's that?
Social media. Often, people who, for whatever reason, come into possession of other people's property often sell it on social media and all over the country. These are on TV shows. I'm not, coming up with anything new, but
no.
You don't think for a second detectives are not scouring social media platforms and sites that sell goods and products to see if there's any stolen goods on those sites. It happens all the time.
You don't think police departments don't have full-time people to do that? Not just detectives. There are probably people all they do is
and
spend
again,
time
this is
on
in the
social
movies.
media.
I'm not disclosing anything
Yeah.
people don't already know.
But see, that's the thing that's fun is interesting is because that stuff is legitimate and that's in the movies and TV shows, but it's also in TV shows and movies. They also say you only get one call, and that's not necessarily true. So it's interesting.
No, not at all.
It's interesting what's true about what you see on TV or in the movies and what isn't true. But that certainly is part of it, man. You got to be,
I don't have any experiences with any of the thousands of clients that I've represented over the decades whereby they, once placed under arrest, did not have the ability to make that phone call. As I mentioned earlier in the previous segment, every single facility that I'm aware of, as far as the jail systems, do provide telephonic communications for those being detained. Big shout out to Sheriff Mike Main, by the way.
Okay.
He does a great job here in Isabella County, Sheriff Main. So big shout out to Sheriff Main there. And Lieutenant Dush as well.
Lieutenant Dush. All right. So there you go.
Dush.
Excuse me, yep. Dush. We're kind of wrapping up the big email show. Of course, if you have email questions, toddlevittlawshow@gmail.com.
We should have the sheriff on the show.
We should.
Come and answer questions. Why not, right?
We should see if we should get that to. That would actually probably be a fun show. That would be
absolutely.
That would be good. That would be a good show. Coming
because
up,
people are tired of listening to you and I banter back and forth.
I don't believe that to be true. I think people have got plenty of interest in hearing us ramble on about stuff like that.
Here, one more piece of advice. I know we have to wrap it up.
Yep, more piece of advice.
We get calls all the time in regards to civil infractions. We don't handle civil infractions, which is like a speeding ticket. There's other types of civil infractions out there. Don't just go and pay a civil infraction in whichever state you live in. Speak to an attorney first, because paying a civil infraction is going to place points upon your record. It could affect your CDL. It could affect your ability to make a living, your insurance. In the state of Michigan, if you have 2 or more moving violations within a 12-month period, you will more than likely lose your license. It will be suspended with restrictions, or you will be brought in, before driver's assessment through the state of Michigan. So 2 moving violations, and a certain amount of points, 12 points, your license is suspended in the state of Michigan. And typical tickets can range anywhere from 2 up to 4 points. So you have to be very careful.
So heed that advice. Todd knows what he's
More
talking
advice on the show here. Law show, folks.
about. It is a law show, so that's it. Speaking of this law show, we're wrapping up the email show, and we got to wrap up the show in general, Todd. The show's over. We got to go.
I am out of Pedialyte, Craig, and Blue Dream. Craig.
We picked a good time to end the show then. There you go. So you can go get more
Great show.
Pedialyte. Yep.
Great co-hosts across the studio there, folks. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you same time, same place next week. We are not here for a long time. What are we here for, Craig?
We're here for a good time, Todd.
And it has been a good time. Take us out with a little double D.
That'll make you come my way. Do you feel the same? 'Cause you don't let it show. Please, please tell me now. Is there something specially now? Is there something specially now? Gotta please tell me now. Please, please tell me now. Can you see what's missing now? Can you see how much I know?
The Todd L. Levitt Law Show, brought to you by Chad Malley Well Drilling of Rosebush, Clark Modular Homes, your most experienced and trusted builder in Mount Pleasant, and attorney Todd L. Levitt, not just a litigator, he's an advocator.
Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.